Welcome to Next Stop, SARTA's podcast where you learn about SARTA and public transit as a whole. Today we're going to be talking about fixed route in a little bit more depth. Fixed routes are the foundation of public transit as a whole, so we thought it merited talking a little bit more detail about how fixed routes work in our system. Today we have with us Delano Means. And Del, can you tell us what your job is at SARTA and what you do?
Yeah, so my job title is the Dispatch Supervisor. I manage a group of dispatchers. It's about 6 other dispatchers. And we also manage about 140 drivers as well.
Okay, so I'm Latrice Varola. I'm the Director of Customer Relations. My department basically does everything customer facing except the driver. So I'm opposite of what Del does. We marry our departments together in what we do. And so I'm going to be one of your hosts. And we also have...
Hi, I'm Nina Phillips. I'm an outreach specialist at SARTA. My job entails all community outreach, travel training, things like that. Delano.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said you are in charge of dispatchers. Can you, for somebody who may not know, can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so it's actually a newer position that they just came up with. Before it was just a bunch of dispatchers, and they felt the need that they had no one to report to because the person that was over it was spread so thin with dealing with road supervisors and dispatchers. So last year they created a position, and I worked for the position.
Yeah.
And so basically I'm over them, just making sure that I'm the liaison between them and the rest of the company. So I speak up for the dispatchers when we communicating with your department, or whether it's with maintenance or anybody else for that matter. They are the help between when the drivers are on the road and in the building. They're like that lifeline for them.
Yeah. So dispatch itself, like what is that definition? So I know they're dispatchers, but what does dispatch actually mean for like SARTA or public transit?
So dispatch actually does a lot. Like I was saying, they're responsible for getting the pro line runs out. They're responsible for making sure everybody reports, covering all routes, fixed route or pro line. At times they are there for customer service for the passengers, and they are like the customer service for the drivers as well. It's just like that. They're there to support them at any time.
So basically making sure that the operational functions of the day are running properly and running interference to make sure if anything comes up that you guys can help to sort through that while they're out on the road and get things done.
Correct.
Yeah, I like to say that I think that the dispatch really honestly is the heart of the company, just because we could not operate at all if it wasn't for dispatch. I just wanted to put that out there. Also, we touched on dispatchers, and I remember you saying something about supervisors, road supervisors as well. What do they do?
Road supervisors they're out on the road in the thick of things with the drivers. They're at all the zones, which we have, I want to say it's 4 different zones. We have Cornerstone, is downtown Canton. We have the Maslin Transit. We have the Belden Village Transit, as well as an Alliance zone. So they're out there on the road handling any issues, whether it's breakdowns, dealing with passengers, dealing with drivers, any kind of malfunctions going on with the bus. They travel around just to make sure everything is running smoothly.
Yeah. So you said we have 4 zones. Do all of the buses go to all of the zones, or like how does SARTA's fixed routes look? What kind of places do they go? And
so Cornerstone is like the main hub. That's where the majority of the buses are. Some of them leave from Cornerstone to head to those other zones. We have, for instance, to go to Maslin, we have a 102, which is a direct route from Canton straight to Maslin going down West Tusk. And you also have a bunch of other routes in Maslin that stay local in Maslin that cover that little part of the city.
Okay. So when people are riding on SARTA, they can go to the transit centers to get other buses to go other places.
Yes, yes. So to me, like I said, Cornerstone being the main hub, that's where the majority of people come to branch off to different routes, whether you want to, no matter where you're going. Like I said, we go to Maslin, we go out to Belden Village. You can hit Alliance. You can also hit Akron. You can hit even Cleveland.
So you said we can hit Cleveland. Like what? You have a bus that goes from Canton to Cleveland. What is that, or how would people use that?
Yeah, it's one of the express routes we have. It goes 3 times a day because of the distance, of course, and it makes just a few stops. We partner with, I think it's the veterans.
Yeah.
So we take veterans up there so they can see the doctors and whatnot, but also you can get a one-way for $2.50 if you just want to get up there. I think they drop off around downtown somewhere outside of when they leave the VA.
So you're saying you can go round trip to Cleveland for $5?
Yes.
And that's
You can
for
buy
anybody?
a round trip for $5 just to go to Cleveland and back.
And
Wow.
anybody could do that? Like you don't have to just be a veteran?
You can be a regular person and just hop on and pay your $2.50 and get a ride there and $2.50 on the way back.
Okay. And so you said it's 3 times a day. So is there, I thought that we could, that same stop that we stop at in Cleveland, I thought Akron stopped there as well. So could people, if they miss our bus, use the Akron bus to still get home as well?
Yeah, so we partner up with Akron and Cleveland, all work together. So in the event that you were to go to Cleveland and miss the bus for whatever reason, you could catch the Akron bus from Cleveland to Akron, and then you would hop on what we call the 81, which is our Akron to Canton route, which runs every hour, and catch that back to Canton to the Cornerstone.
Okay.
And I know you said it runs 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Do they run on Saturdays as well? Can I get to Cleveland on a Saturday?
So we do not run to Cleveland on a Saturday. However, I believe if you can catch the 81, which is that Akron route to Akron, it's a possibility you can catch one of those Akron routes to Cleveland as well.
Nice. Okay.
So the 81, you said it goes to Akron. How often does that run?
So it runs every hour, starting at, I think, 5 a.m., and that is Monday through Saturday.
Wow.
And the last one will leave Canton, I think it's 7:45. Will get you up there around 8:45 to come back to be done with the regular fleet.
Okay. And I could be wrong on this. Do we have 2 81s running at the same time?
Yeah, since it's an hour route, we got 2 passing each other. So you got one going up to Akron, one coming back from Akron.
Okay. So we have 2 of them running at the same time, just going in opposite directions, so
Correct.
they pass each other.
Correct.
Okay. And you said that runs the whole span of the day. So if someone worked in Akron and lived in Canton or vice versa, they could potentially ride those buses to get to work and really be on the same kind of schedule that you might be at if you're riding a bus in Canton.
Correct. They just have to plan accordingly to make sure they leave early enough so they can make it to work on time. A big thing with that Akron route, what used to be, I know things changed since the pandemic, but schooling was a big part of that Akron route. You had a lot of people coming from Akron that was going to Stark State, so they would catch the 81 in Akron, ride it all the way down to Belden Village, and then hop on our 45, which is a hour route that runs over to Stark State, which is a college in the Belden Village area.
Okay.
Now, I think when we had Kurt on, he mentioned something about the students at Stark being able to ride for free. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they partner with Stark State to, if you did enroll, that you got some kind of pass, and all you have to do is show that to the driver, and then they count it in which we call a fare boxes, which is how we collect our fare.
That's a really good program for students.
And so the way that actually works, because I helped to write that contract, is they have their student ID or their school ID, and they show that. And every semester, Stark State puts a sticker on for what the semesters of school. They tell us what the sticker is for that semester, so we know our valid student. So all you have to do is have your student ID, and you can ride any SARTA bus for free in the system. Yeah. So that's a really good thing that goes on, and I think it's been a very good partnership and seen a lot of benefit out of that. So that 81 bus, I know you said that the Cleveland bus costs $250. Does that 81 cost the same as other fixed routes, or does that have a different price?
The 81 has the same as a regular fixed route. I think it's $1.50 for one way. We also deal with, you can get a pass for $3 and it's good for all day.
And that works on the 81 as well?
That works on the 81 and all regular routes. However, it does not work with the Cleveland route.
Okay. But still, $5 to go to Cleveland. Really?
Still.
You can't get that in your gas tanks. You just can't beat that. When you're riding, so if you ride the bus to Akron and you pay SARTA's fare, do you then have to pay Akron's fare on the first bus as well, or?
No, like I was saying earlier, we kind of partner with Akron and Cleveland. Even if you buy your pass here, they honor it. Like you'll show them what we call what used to be a transfer or a day pass, and they'll honor it and let them ride as well as we do theirs. Once they show us that they paid their fare on the Akron route, we usually count the ride so they can get back
So you
down
get
here.
one bus on the
Correct.
service without having to pay an additional fare.
Correct.
Okay, that makes it easier, I think, just for people to ride in between places and not have to pay duplicate fares.
Right.
Since we have transfers, we kind of honor that. Okay, I thought we had transfer agreements with those agencies.
Yes.
You were talking about the 102, and the 102 goes from Canton to Maslin, like it's a direct route. Do we have other buses that connect the cities? And if so, like how would you do that? Can you run down a few of them?
Yes. We have buses, like I said, that touch all over Stark County. It's probably close to a place that we don't go. But the direct routes, you got that 102 that's traveling down West Tusk, which with the main attraction over there would be Walmart. A lot of people work there, go there to shop. But there's also other things to do going to and from Maslin. We have the 81 that will take you directly to Belden Village. It uses the highway to get there, so it's only about a 5 to 10 minute drive. You have the 106 that will get you to Belden Village. It uses Whipple Avenue. To get to Alliance, you would use the 139. It stops through Louisville, but it's mainly a highway route. And we also have two of those as well. So since it's an hour route, you got one going and one coming from Alliance at the same time. So you can constantly keep it moving. As well as Alliance, you got some small routes that stay in the city of Alliance that keep people moving around town there. I think that covered all of the direct ones to the different cities.
I think that's it too. And you were talking about how, are there other routes that have two buses running the same route at the same time to make the movement of people a little bit easier?
So with the 102, which is the direct route to Maslin, is actually one of our busier routes, if not the busiest. We actually have 3 buses per hour running. So you can catch one every 15 minutes, basically.
Okay, so that makes it easier for people to get moving around.
Yes, because it's a 45-minute route. So you got 3 of them constantly going. I think it's usually leaving Cornerstone. It's a quarter after and a quarter till. So if you miss one, it won't be one too far behind. Trying to think any other routes that we got 2 buses on. I think those were the only ones that had carry 2 buses.
That's what I thought too. I just wasn't sure because I hadn't really looked at that a lot. I know the 102, it is our busiest route. It's consistently been our busiest route, probably for at least the 11 years that I've been at SARTA. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that people realize that we have multiple buses, so we know it's busy, so we can get people moving and shuffling around where they need to go, and it's not a long wait always all the time. Then doesn't the 125 go from Belden to Maslin as well?
Correct. It goes from Belden to Maslin, uses one of Maslin's main roads, which would be Wells Road, touches off in a little bit of Jackson Township, heads over to Maslin. I think that's about a 45-minute to an hour route as well to get to and from. So you can bypass coming to Cornerstone sometimes if you don't need to really come that far in. We also do, not to get off subject, we have a route that goes from Walmart on West Tusk to the Walmart on Harmont, which you wouldn't have to go to Cornerstone. You can actually, if you live on the route, jump on the bus, run to Walmart, get back on it, and go back home without ever having to go to Cornerstone. I don't think it's been utilized enough or if it's been advertised enough, but it's a great route.
Do you know what number is that?
It's the 158. It runs from about 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah, that is one of our newer routes that hasn't been utilized or marketed highly. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because we really try to think when we're planning out routes, what is the easiest way that we can get people from point A to point B, and really look at how ridership is. So again, even though we didn't ask about that, I'm really glad you brought it up, because honestly, I forgot about it. So I'm glad you said it, because probably it's underutilized because we don't talk about it as much. So I'm really glad you said that. The other thing I was thinking about is, are there other like main streets? Do we have a bus that goes on Cleveland Avenue or Market? What are those, just in case people are trying to?
So the main streets around town, you have West Tusk. That's that 102. You can actually even use East Tusk, go the opposite way and use the 107. That'll run you all the way to East Canton.
Okay.
It only runs to East Canton every other hour because it doesn't have the ridership to go every hour. You can get to East Canton every other hour. Got the 105, will take you directly down Cleveland Avenue, which is a busy street. One of the main streets. It does cut off in North Canton, take you up to Belden Village. That's another way to get to Belden Village if you need to. We have the 45, which would continue down Cleveland Avenue, which turns into Main Street. That takes you deep into North Canton. Touched on the 106, hitting Whipple. The 45 was going to cover everything around Belden Village and North Canton area. Market is another big street. We got the 108 that travels up and down Market. And one thing about all our routes is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we touch every area where any school is as well. So if you have a child that maybe need to get to school, it's another effective way to help out.
Yeah, and that's so important. Can you talk to us just a little bit about the express, like the work express buses, like the ones that go to Nichols Bakery and
we call those an employment loops.
The employment loops, yes. Thank you for correcting me.
Yes, we call them employment loops. We run them Monday through Friday. They leave out, I believe, at like 4 something in the morning in case you got to be to work early. And it, like you said, touches. It's a little different from our regular fixed route because it's not just stopping along picking people up. It hits the right now currently Cornerstone, which is downtown Canton, in the Maslin zone. Pick those people up and shuffle them around through that area.
Yeah.
Like you said, Nichols Bakery,
Yeah.
Sterilite, Shears in Navarre. I think it's TSC, and it's another one that I can't think, but it touches on
all that area.
All that area that you can ride for $1.50 and get to work, and then by that early in the morning, and it doesn't stop running until I think 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's a really good popular one.
Isn't that one of our first routes that kind of hits that early in the morning to get people to those shifts?
Correct, because a lot of those shifts at those factories usually are like 6 to 6 or 7 to 7. It gives them time to get out there without having to get them from bus to bus to try to get to work.
So this makes the transportation time to get to that job a little bit less than.
Correct.
Okay, and that's good. That's good customer focus and thought about the customer experience. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I know that we've only had those for a couple of years, so I think they've been pretty well received by the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's constantly changing. Like I said, there's different businesses that are evolving, and we try to stay in touch with those people just to see where it's a possibility they may need some ridership, so we may have to alter our routes or even add a route if we think we can get the ridership that people would need.
2 things. One, that 81, doesn't it go to the Akron-Canton Airport as well?
Yeah, so that 81 is all, like I said, express route. It'll leave Cornerstone and use the highway to go to Belden Village. From Belden Village, it'll leave to get you to the airport. From the airport, it'll leave to take you to Staples, which is in Akron, where a lot of people can make connecting buses there. There's buses we meet at on Arlington Road. There's other buses that connect to get you different places in Akron or vice versa. And then from there, we head downtown to Akron, where they meet up with their main hub down there.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. I think people don't really think about the fact that public transit, you could use it to get to and from the airport. Yeah. Again, it's $1.50.
Yeah.
Taxi's not going to cost that. Neither is an Uber. So
not even close.
So I think that's something kind of good to know. And then community coach. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's that?
So community coach is considered a fixed route, but it's it's different because we go to like the senior high rises and stuff around Stark County. We use Canton-Massillon Alliance, Belden Village area. We touch on all those areas, go to the high rise for people who may not be able to go out and wait at a bus stop. We get those people to and from grocery stores and different things so they can be able to go shop, because you get older and may not have the support you need, and that's just a different way for them to be able to get out for $1.50, get to the store, you get a return trip, you get that return trip back without you even have to pay again. So it's $1.50, you go out,
Round
shop
trip.
or whatever, and get back home almost to the front door.
Yeah, who can beat that? You can't get an
And I
Uber
know
or a
from-
DoorDash or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
And I know from going to a lot of the senior fairs,
Yeah.
that's a popular one.
Yes, it is.
They
Yes, it
come
is.
to my table and they just rave about being able to have that ability to just be able to get to whatever store they need to, get their groceries done, and not have to depend on anybody. So
Yeah, it's good. We also every Thursday we even slide over to Waynesburg and pick up a few
Waynesburg
people,
ladies,
and
yeah.
they just love it. They've been riding for quite a long
Yeah.
time, and they're pretty a joy to have.
Yeah.
That's good. So we also, don't we have a route, I think it's the 121 that goes out in the strip area?
Yes, so that 121 is connected with the 106. It's another one that we do have two routes on. So that 106 is 106, 121. It'll leave Cornerstone, like I said, work its way up to Whipple, head to Belden Village Transit, and then it'll leave out as the 121. It'll flip over and it touches that strip area, which covers all your main attractions in Belden Village, really. You got the restaurants, Walmart, Lowe's, all those type of things, Stark State. And also even now they just built that Costco out there. So you got a way to just get around all the way up there.
So it seems like our fixed routes hit a lot of different things. It seems like there's a lot of consideration to do different modes. Do we have fixed routes that touch the hospitals as well?
Yes, we do. So that 106 again, that 106 touches the Altman Hospital. Like I said, it runs around there every hour. We got one going out from Cornerstone and always one on the inbound to Cornerstone. We're able to get to the hospital from there. We also got the 117, which we hit Mercy Hospital. I think it's once an hour now. So when you need it at the hospital, we get you there.
And yeah, so that's good because when we talked to Kurt, he talked about the fundamental needs people to get to work, get groceries, hospital. So our fixed routes do all that in addition to our pro line. So it's not that you just have to do the curb to curb. You could ride fixed routes and still get to basically all your essential needs.
Correct.
If you don't have a mode of transportation.
Absolutely. I think the pro line is just for a smaller group of people where maybe you can't stand at bus stops as long, or you have to be somewhere by a certain time. It's a little different. The same thing, but just a little different.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the pro line is for people like more specialized with a disability, but I just really wanted to highlight that the general public, if you don't have a vehicle, our public transit service is set up to still be able to get you to the things you need to get to in the most timely manner that we can as it relates to public transit.
Yeah, I think riding fixed routes, it ain't much you can do. And even, I know probably was going to touch on anyway, so the majority of the routes finish up around 9:45 at night. We also have 3 late night loops that run until about 1:45 in the morning. So if you're working late or you're just out partying, we rather you ride the bus
That's
than,
right.
you know,
That's right.
cause an accident or something. They touch all over those areas, basically all around Stark County, really.
So the late night loops, they don't run as frequently as the ones during the day, but they still hit them if you need to get home.
Correct. So the late night loops, I think, are an hour and 30-minute routes.
Okay.
Makes really 2.5 trips if you think about the timing wise behind it. But they touch all over Stark County. It just may take you a little longer. We do not go to Alliance, unfortunately. I don't think the ridership was there for it, but we do still go to Maslin, Belden Village, all around Stark County, Northwest, Southwest, Southeast, all the areas that are pretty popular.
I know that there's a new Amazon building being built. Will there be a route that's going to come past that? I know people have been asking.
Yeah, we actually got 2 routes that will hit that area. We got our 139 that travels to and from Alliance. stops over there. So you always have a way to get back and forth. And we also have another route, which is 111, which is that northeast side of town. That will go there as well. And that will get you more of a direct line back and forth to Cornerstone. If you're coming from Alliance, so 139 would obviously take you there. That 111 also hits the our Stark County Jail over there because it's not too far from Arizona. It's actually right up the street.
Okay.
So whatever reason you would have to go to the jail, we could get you a ride, maybe somebody getting out.
Sorry to get you anywhere.
Yeah, we get you out of jail and everything. So, yeah.
Do you have any anything?
No, I really enjoyed this, though.
Oh, we really enjoyed having you.
Yes.
We really enjoyed having you. So thank you so much for coming, taking some time out of your day and spending some time with us.
Absolutely, anytime.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you as well. A lot of the stuff that we talk about, we know the routes. We can rattle off what the 102 does and all these other things. But I think in one session, having a general overview so our listeners and our viewers can really see on a high level all the different things that SARTA's fixed routes touch and where people can go. I think that's a good way to do this. So thank you for sharing all that information with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to SARTA's Next Stop. We'll see you next time.